All right, hey, welcome back to Working Class Customs. Welcome back to Stable B. Once again, we're here with our Gixxer. This is our 2008 Gixxer 750 track bike, not a race bike, just a track bike. We are putting new brakes on it. What do you know? New brakes. So I got brand new Brembos. I'll show you guys real quick. Got the mono blocks. They're not the expensive ones. That's all I'm gonna say. But they are Brembos. They should be good. Not just calipers, but a new master cylinder also. We got brake lines that'll be coming later. Got some braided stainless steel. I always want to say like straighted braidless steel, but that wouldn't be right. So braided stainless steel lines that'll be coming in blue. We'll get those put on, but today we're just gonna pull the old brakes off the bike, put the new brakes on, see how that goes, and take you guys along for the ride. So if you're here, if you're watching, if you enjoy our videos, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Throw a like on the video if you like this video, and go watch some others, you know, and then leave me some comments throughout. Any questions you guys might have. We're gonna get these put on. We're gonna take it down to Tessa, check it out, let you guys know what I think about it. So you let me know what you think. I'm not a professional mechanic. I think I've said that before a few times. So I appreciate you guys in the comments when you guys give me tips, tricks moving forward. I do actually take all that on board. I use that. It's very nice to have. You guys know probably as much as me, if not more, half of you at least. So leave some comments below, whatever you see that I'm doing right or wrong, whatever it might be, let me know, and let's get it started. All right, so before we get started with the brake change out, we need some story time, some background. Why would I change the brakes on my Suzuki that I happen to love so much? We talked about the Suzuki a lot, and specifically talked about how most people hate Suzuki brakes, but us over here at Working Class Customs tend to actually quite like them. They give you this kind of feeling of confidence that you can go into a corner, and if you accidentally grab too much, they're not gonna bite you because they're not that bitey. So why am I putting Brembos on them? Why would I change that out? Why would, like, if I have such great brakes, why would I want to do that? Story time. One, we were out at Carolina Motorsports Park. If you haven't seen any of that, go watch the review. That should be out on the channel, so check that out. And then two, if you want to hear more about the weekend in general and how that was, JK Moto Podcast episode 29, that'll be up there also. Go check that out. That'll give you a lot more detail on how the weekend was and how it all went. But it's a key part of this weekend that brought us to the point where we're at now. Or don't dare go back out on track on this bike without doing something on my brakes. I started off within the morning, went to tech. The brakes were feeling like kind of soft, kind of weird. Not what I was used to, right? I pull them and I'm like, this is like kind of weird. Got through tech, nothing wrong. Like, it was still stopping the bike fine, but just felt weird, different. Got back to the pits, and then I looked at it and realized that I had adjusted my brake lever. So I'll show you guys in a minute. I've got adjustable brake levers. Actually, you might be able to see. Adjustable brake levers, the CRG RC2s. I like them a lot. But when you have them all the way out, it takes more work to pull them. When you put them all the way in, they're closer, so they kind of feel almost squishy. That's the feeling I was getting. So I came back, I adjusted them back out to where they were normally. Everything felt great, perfect, amazing, no problems. And then I went out and started riding. And there were like a couple points where I'd grab them and they'd be stiffer than normal. And I was like, what is going on here? And then that would go away, no big deal. But one specific lap, I was out. So it's a right-hander going in the straight, and I come into the turn and I grab my brakes like I normally do, slow the bike down like I normally do, and then let off the brakes as you're going through, about to hit the apex. But when I let off the brakes, the bike didn't stop stopping. Very strange experience. At that instant, you're going from probably 80 or 90 down to probably in the 30 range at least, if not even slower. For me, probably a little slower, to be honest, but not a good feeling. All of a sudden, the bike is just stopped dead in its tracks, in the middle of the track, and I've got people coming up inside, outside. Luckily, very luckily, thanks for everyone that was there, that was paying attention, riding well, whatever. I didn't get hit. No one went down. I didn't go down, it was fine, but it was everything I could do just to, I was rev bombing the bike and just letting that clutch out so easily to get off the race line, over to the side, and then I pulled into the pits. By the time I got pulled back into the pits, the brakes were unlocked. Everything felt normal. I was like, this is super weird. So I went through the hot pits. I was about to go back out, and I was like, you know what? Let's go back to the pits actual and take a look, right? So I head back to the pits, and everything was fine. Everything looked fine. It was operating as normal. The biggest thing I could think was that somehow it just locked up. I don't know. I don't know if it's a master cylinder failure. I don't know. Not a brake expert by any means, but we ended up refilling our fluid a little bit. It was like kind of low, not uncovering, but kind of low. So we put some more fluid in there, went about the rest of the day, and everything felt fine. I still had some instances where it was like differing brake pressure. So I said, hey, moving forward, we got real lucky today. We were safe. Everyone was safe, but really lucky. Don't want that to happen again. So I decided to make the upgrade. So we got brand new calipers for the front and a brand new master cylinder, all by Brembo. And man, shout out to Brembo, right? If you guys saw that intro with the little B-roll of the boxes and the brakes and everything, nothing makes you feel like you've got more high quality parts than amazing packaging. I'm just gonna say that. I think we can all kind of agree. I don't know like necessarily what I was expecting, but I open up the box from Sport Bike Track Gear. Great website. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. But open up just the standard cardboard box, and inside is 2 more boxes, and I look at them and they're just beautiful packaging, amazing foam in there. Of course, they give you nice little Brembo stickers and all that jazz, whatever. But true show of quality, in my opinion. Everyone, I think, will say that Brembo is the best of the best. Whether or not that's true, this video will tell. We're gonna get these put on. I'm gonna show you guys that process. Unfortunately, I don't have my brake lines yet. So if you see me change clothes in the video, that's why, because I've got brake lines coming in later. But we'll get these brakes put on, and then we're gonna go test them out when we head down to Podium Club at Tessa in Arizona here in about a week. We'll see how bad this install is. Shouldn't be too bad. And we'll take you guys along for the ride and then let you know what I think at the end. I must have started a video. I gotta apologize, guys, tonight. You are with just me tonight. So if there's any filming issues with the video, that's all on me. I don't have my filmer that's normally with me. The cameraman, camera lady is not with me tonight. So it's just me and you guys out here in the stable, wonderful stable. We got some bikes going on, but I apologize. What I just did was drain all of our fluid out. So if you look in there, that's our reservoir. There is no more fluid in there. So I was using this little vacuum pump. I think you probably saw on the other side, you're supposed to see on this side. We hooked that up to our bleeder screw. That's this guy right here. And then we started the vacuum pump while also I kind of sped it up a little bit by cycling my brake lever and was able to pull all that fluid out. So if you look in here, see that fluid down there? Yummy. Got all the brake fluid out of the reservoir and hopefully out of the lines. We did both sides. So that should help clean it up. I'm gonna stick this in here and try and get a little bit more out. And then what I'm gonna do is actually put the cap back on there to hopefully lock in that pressure, seal it back up. So that way when I pull the lines off, it should, being the key word here, we're gonna put some rags down. That should not get any brake fluid all over the place. Bear with me. What we're gonna do now is break the torque on the brake line. I already said I broke torque on these bolts, but I'm gonna keep these in here and keep the calipers connected so I can get the torque off of the brake line bolt. And this is where it comes down on both sides. I have the original brake lines on here. That's also what I ordered for my new braided stainless steel. That's gonna be rough tonight. Braided stainless steel lines, same route. It comes down and there's a double banjo right here and then heads over to the other side. We'll get this popped off and then we'll hop over to the other side and do the same thing, and then we can pull the calipers off and put the new ones on. Let's get after it. Turns out we're gonna round some bolts tonight, I guess. Okay, more torque. More torque and a better non-rounding. Yeah, the torque broke on that. Pull that out, and yeah, there is a little bit of brake fluid still seeping out. That's to be expected. Brake fluid in here especially is super old, and brake fluid is sticky, I guess is a good word. So I don't know if you could ever fully get it all out, but That is not a bad amount. We're gonna make sure we keep all parts because I'm not sure exactly what comes with the new brake lines or with the new calipers, but there's our 2 lines on that side. We'll go ahead over to the other side and do the exact same thing. What I should do first, and what I am actually gonna go ahead and do first, is move our master cylinder here, brake lever, whatever part you want to call it. I'm gonna move that up a little bit so I have better access to the line up here. And then we're gonna pull the line off of up here, and then we'll continue. Everything on this handlebar is so tight. There's not much room when you have aftermarket parts on here. So I got that moved up as far as it really wants to go, to be honest. Tighten that back down so we have, again, some leverage. If you notice, all the rags, I'm sure most of you know this, but brake fluid is highly corrosive. The whole goal tonight is to not get it all over literally everything. Now I gotta remember, if I'm upside down, which way loosening is. That should be the last bolt we need for the brake lines, the original ones. We're gonna get to put them stainless steel ones in, which is gonna be a real party. Actually, you know what, now that I have the torque broken, I can just completely take this one off. I should just be able to loosen that screw the rest of the way by hand. Sorry, that banjo bolt the rest of the way by hand. Sorry if you're missing my face a little bit, again, while we're doing this tonight. Without the cameraman filming is working, filming, all of that. I'm trying to be as good as I can. What I should have done first was disconnect it from that reservoir. So another little tidbit for you guys that maybe haven't done brakes or don't know a ton about brakes, but on a motorcycle, your front brakes, on a sport bike, we usually have dual front discs or dual calipers in the front. On this one we do. And then you have your master cylinder, which is where the lever is, but the master cylinder is actually this part, this cylinder, right? So that's what actually takes the fluid in, applies the pressure via the lever. If you look kind of close in here, see a little pressure pad when you pull your lever. Hopefully you can see that. That actually applies that pressure. It's gonna draw the fluid in, apply the pressure, and send it down to the calipers. I'll show you a closer look at those later, because that's where the pistons are. But we're gonna disconnect from our reservoir. So master cylinder, reservoir, calipers, and lines. And these are called banjo bolts. These are cool because they're hollow. The fluid can go in, actually usually this way it comes in here and goes out through the little hole. So that is what a banjo bolt actually is. And you wanna always make sure that you have your crush washers on your banjo bolts. You should also always replace them because they're a one-time use. So we're gonna go ahead and get our master cylinder disconnected from our reservoir. Normally you'll see some pinch clamps here. I had some other problems with brakes or my wheel was bent, and so I thought my brakes were failing, but it was actually just that I had a bent wheel. And anyway, long story short, I had a mechanic do some work on them at the track side after I wrecked the bike. Found out after the fact that it was just that they were bent, but instead of putting pinch clamps back on, he had some safety wire, just used safety wire. That works fine. In fact, a lot of people like it because safety wire works everywhere. You can throw some on there, twist it up real quick, you get a perfectly good seal that way. And usually if you're at a racetrack, working on a race bike, you're gonna have safety wire on you. Use our paper towel, or shop towel, I guess is a better word for that. And I'm gonna have to probably use something else to get that seal to break on there. Rubber hoses can get stuck. Hopefully it won't break our hose, but if you take some pliers, apply just a little bit of pressure and twist it, you can break that seal. You gotta be really careful doing that because you don't wanna break the hose. And then it should pull off much easier after that. Boom. And there's our old master cylinder and CRG RC2 brake lever. And there you go, to Tokiko brake calipers and your Niffin, Niffin master cylinder. So the only question I'm having right now for myself and for you guys, let me know in the comments. I really like these RC2 levers. Not sure how I'm gonna like the Brembo lever. This was not the most expensive Brembo master cylinder you can get. I don't know about that lever, not very adjustable. So you guys let me know in the comments what you guys have done. If I can get an RC2 for that Brembo master cylinder, what my options are, let me know. We'll go ahead and get these bad boys paper out of there. Another uptick to Brembo, they come with brake pads. They are in fact in there. Yeah, honestly, I was afraid that I was gonna have to buy brake pads or just reuse. I mean, The brake pads I had still had plenty of life left in them, but I was like, man, imagine getting new brakes and still using your old brake pads. So Brembo supplies you with nice new brake pads, so you're good to go. So no worries there. If you're getting Brembos, you got brake pads. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get these installed. We're gonna have to reuse our old bolts. Oh man, they better fit. Unless I'm being dumb and this is supposed to go on the other side. I don't know if that makes sense. Should they fit on 310 millimeter rotors? It's time for story time number 2. Where we just left off should have been, I attempted to put some calipers on the Gixxer and they didn't fit. They're bottoming out on the disc and not anywhere near the mount point. That's because I didn't have these. So these are 8 millimeter spacers. So when I ordered the new calipers from Brembo, I ordered them on the Sport Bike Track Gear website, and the description on the calipers that I got, at the top it said fits 310 millimeter rotors, and then it said something along the lines of, this kit is for a 320 millimeter rotor, will require spacers to work, blah, blah, blah. So I went ahead and ordered it thinking I didn't need spacers. What I didn't check was the fact that the part number for the spacers required for that kit, the 310 mil kit that I got, was different than the one for the 320. The description was a little weird. I didn't look into as much as I should have, so I had to order those spacers. And those spacers didn't get here in time to go test the brakes out of the racetrack. So we went down to the racetrack, put the new braided steel lines on. So those are in place now. And now I'll show you guys the rest of getting the calipers on, getting the brake lever on. The new one, all the new parts from Brembo go on today. In a later video, we'll take it out to the racetrack and test it. So unfortunately, I won't be able to test it because we already went down to Podium Club. Well, I didn't have the parts, so I couldn't test it out the new brakes. The old brakes worked great. There weren't any issues there. So the story time from the beginning didn't have that issue anymore. Maybe it was just low brake fluid, not sure. But we're still gonna get these new Brembos on and we'll go test them out in a later video so you guys get a chance. And there's a possibility that I could do a lap around the street just as a like, hey, this is an initial thought with like 0 speed, but just to see how grabby they are, how much play they might have and whatnot, to give you guys that opinion. So without further ado, we'll continue down the installation path with our new spacers that we have, since we can do that this time, and see what these Brembos are all about. Got our new calipers right here, and our nice little spacers. It's looking like those are gonna be quite the interesting piece. All right, well, bear with me here. We'll see what these look like once they get on, and maybe you have to just send everything back because none of it wants to work how it should. That, I feel like, should go over the top, not the bottom. We'll find out here in a minute. Is a spacer, so that's gotta come out first. We're gonna get a pair of pliers and pull those out. There's one on the top and the bottom. That's gonna come out, and then our new spacers will go in there. So they're not gonna have that gap in between. It's a little confusing because that part doesn't look like it's supposed to come out, but turns out it is. So we'll get a pair of pliers, get those pulled out real quick. Apparently we might need some channel locks or vice grips. Luckily, I'm not reusing these. If they get gummed up, should be all right. So there you go. Those are now out. Now I can put our new ones in, and should be golden. Calipers first. Slide the caliper around the rotor there. We're gonna go thick end in the caliper and skinny end in the mount. There we go. Now, the only question that I'm really having for myself at the moment is what torque spec we're gonna go to. So, because these are completely new bolts. Makes sense, they need to be, so they're long enough. But I don't know if Brembo is gonna supply that torque spec or if we'll go back to what's in the owner's manual, which I wanna say 17 foot-pounds. Don't quote me on it, we'll find out in a minute. Go ahead and go grab our Allen, get those snugged up. That's gonna be an 8 millimeter Allen, so if you're looking at doing this upgrade on your Gixxer or whatever bike, make sure you do your research, figure out what spacers you need. There was an option for me to do up to a 320 mil rotor and get even bigger spacers. I decided not to do that because I don't necessarily need more braking force like that, just trying to get a little bit better brakes. We'll go ahead and do the other side, and then I'll get the brake lines installed. These ones came out much easier. Got our brake line here. It's gonna go around to the other side and pull that little cap out. And then I'll throw all our crush washers on, and we'll get this in her spot. That's starting to not feel good. Don't need another one of those happening. Well, after a little bit of Brembo shenanigans, we should be good to go. Maybe, we'll have to find out. If we need to, might end up putting extra crush washer in. These Brembos are a little more shallow, so I ground down our double banjo because when you buy the kit, it doesn't come with a banjo, not a double anyway. Find out if I ground it down enough. Doesn't quite look like it. So we're gonna go ahead and stack that double crush washer on the bottom. That way our holes are still lined up like they should be. If you're doing a Brembo swap, double check all of your stuff first. Like if you're doing lines at the same time. Anyway, what we need to make sure you do is open up your Brembo kit if you haven't ordered everything beforehand. Make sure you have the right banjos. They sell a double banjo. Just order a double banjo if you need one. If not, just make sure you have the right parts before you start your install. That is engagement right there on all the crush washers. We'll go ahead and untorque that. We'll check our torque specs after we get everything installed. We'll move to the other side, get that one put in. We'll go up and do the master cylinder brake lever. All right, we got that other side buttoned up. So now we're gonna get this new lever assembly on, and then we'll get all the lines connected up here. And we'll just make sure that everything is in fact going to work. The one thing I'll give Brembo that's kind of nice, it's not like insane or anything, but there's arrows all over everything. That's cool because when you have arrows for which direction things need to go, then you know which way they need to go. That's just kind of nifty. So it looks like we're gonna have to move our switch over, that or move my throttle housing above. I don't know which is gonna be better here, but there's currently not enough room. I don't really want this lever so far down. I don't want it so far up either. That's as far as up as it will go right there. And that's not enough room to get that on. So I'm gonna have to move my throttle housing around to get that to connect up. A little bit of finagling going on with this setup, which is okay. That's how it goes when you start putting a bunch of aftermarket stuff on a motorcycle. I will also say, if you're looking at doing anything like this, first thing to do is get new clip-ons, because the stock clip-ons just will not hold all of these different things. Got our switch out of the way, got our Motion Pro going up here probably. Let's get that brake lever and everything else on first. So that's gonna be the limiter here, and we can kind of work everything else around. I think we're gonna be able to do it just like that. Just technically how the Motion Pro wants to go anyway, I believe. Don't quote me on it. Don't quote me on a whole lot today. How about that? And the only thing we gotta make sure is that we have enough room there to get all of that in there. Yeah, so it's gonna be a little bit of a puzzle game, but that's looking like all of that will work. With that kind of sorted, we'll get our other Allen, get this brake lever tightened up. Get that tightened up, switch is gonna work. Go ahead and bring our brake line in and double check and make sure that that's gonna work. Looks like it's gonna work great. I'm gonna test this one. I also had to grind this one down. Also a fun little fact, Brembo uses a 10 by 1. It's a 10 mil by 1.0 thread count. So if they don't send you banjos with their stuff, I wanna just make sure that you order some. Again, order your banjo bolts. That's what you need to do. Just order some banjo bolts if you're doing a Brembo swap. So I ground this one down also. It's threading in okay. So we're gonna get that mounted up. Hang that switch out of the way for a little bit here. There we go. We got that in place. Put the switch back in wherever it would like to go. Then we'll tighten the throttle up last, because the switch kind of feels like, doesn't feel like, but looks like it's gonna be a little bit of a pain to get these screws in the right place. All right, it's all tightened up. I'll tighten up our throttle housing right here. Apparently is also 4mm. There's one more little snug. Don't want our throttle falling off while we're going, and we're good to go. So next step will be to get some brake fluid in there, and start bleeding it. If you're here for the title, here's why the title is what it is. Originally, I thought this title was gonna be, you know, Gixxer gets massive brake upgrade, Brembos, all this great stuff. Had a couple story times during the video. Didn't get to go test on the racetrack in this video. Like I said, we'll do that later on. I will still go do a quick lap around the neighborhood just to see how the brakes work. They're all bled up now, looking great, whatever. So this, I don't know if you guys can see that, but that is called a tap. And if you're familiar with Brembos and you've done Brembo upgrades before, you can go ahead and just turn the video off, because what I'm about to tell you, you're gonna be probably making fun of me in the comments. That's okay, let it come. If you haven't done a Brembo upgrade and you're thinking about doing it, listen to what I'm about to say very carefully and do your research before you go buying your parts. So while I was down at Podium Club in Arizona, I went to put the master cylinder brake lever on, because I had the new lines, so I was gonna put the lines on. And I was like, well, this part works. I don't have the spacers for the calipers yet, but I have the master cylinder and the lever, so I'll put that on real quick. We'll be good to go. I used the bolt that came with my braided stainless steel brake line kit and got it in there. It started to get a little tight, kind of seize up almost, and I was like, this is really weird. So I decided to loosen it, and I would try my other one. Now these aluminum, they get anodized in whatever color you want, but they are 100% aluminum. And this is what comes with the Brembo. Today I found out, looking at it, that the reason that I had an issue, well, let me finish that story first. The issue I had down in Arizona was that the bolt, when I backed out, snapped off. And then we snapped the top off, and then I got home and I tried to remove it, it didn't come out. So I drilled it out, and then I had to order a tap. So I have a tap kit, but my tap kit didn't have the right tap, and instead of looking at the thread size on the master cylinder, which I didn't have a bolt for, that's not true, I guess I did. But anyway, instead of doing that, I stuck the other bolt, took the thread size on that. It was a 10 by 1.25, so I ordered a 10 by 1.25 tap, and I tapped that out. New bolt went in fine, good to go, no problems. Flash forward to during this video, I'm putting the caliper on, put the banjo bolt in, and the banjo bolt gets real tight. And you might have seen that for a second. I backed it out. What do you know, the top snapped off. So same process again, drilled it out, tapped it out, decided I'd have to use the old banjo bolt. Okay, not a big deal. And then I found the bolts that came in the Brembo package. And I was looking at them and I was like, those look a little different. So I went over, grabbed my thread gauge, and what do you know? It's a 10 by 1, not a 10 by 1.25. So turns out that Brembo uses a 10 by 1 stock Gixxer, and from what I can tell, most other brake manufacturers, I mean, a lot of them are gonna use the Niffen or Nissan or whatever it is, and a lot of them are Tokiko, very common brake brands, especially back in the mid 2000s, Japanese bikes. Those all are gonna run your 10 by 1.25. So if you are ordering Brembos, use the banjos supplied. And if you need like a double banjo and they didn't come with the calipers, make sure you order a double banjo for Brembos specifically. And the other difference that you'll see here is in the height. So if I line those up on their seating surface, there's a 2mm difference in height. I measured that. I now currently have one caliper with a 10 by 1.25 hole drilled in it and threaded in it, and the original banjo bolt that was ground down in order to fit in that caliper. The other caliper, I went and used the bolt supplied by Brembo, so that works. And then my master cylinder brake lever, also a 10 by 1.25 with the original banjo also ground down to make sure it seats fully. So as far as I can tell right now, they need bled just a little bit more, but we got good pressure all the way around. Haven't seen any leaks. I cleaned up all the brake fluid from the bleeding and been squeezing and squeezing and squeezing. Haven't seen any leaks. They feel a little squishy. Like I said, we'll go do a run around the neighborhood after I bleed them a little more, figure out how they feel, and then we'll go test them out at the track and hope that everything works well. Moral of the story being, if you're doing a Brembo upgrade, realize that Brembo uses a different thread pitch. Should have done my research, I guess. Light me up in the comments if you want to, I don't know. But at this point, we are where we are. Everything should work out fine. I don't see any leaks on brake fluid. Everything's been tapped good, cleaned out. Everything should be good. But don't make the same mistake I did. Do your research, figure out what you need and where, and you'll be good to go. All right, so I know a test around the neighborhood is not a real test, but that's all we got right now because we can't make it to the track for a little bit, I don't know. Just did a quick little test around the neighborhood, got up to, you know, maybe 20, 25 miles an hour or whatever, but just to kind of see how they initially feel. Definitely different. I don't know, again, it's a neighborhood, it was 20 miles an hour. I'm not out there trying to do stoppies, I'm not doing anything crazy, but definitely feel a little different. I don't know if I would say that they grab harder or bite more, or whatever word you want to put there, but I would say that there is more braking power from what I can tell so far. We'll find out when I hit the racetrack, let you guys know for sure, but from what I can tell right now, like I grab it and it doesn't initially feel like much more, but then you apply just a little bit more pressure and there's definitely more braking there. That's a good sign. We'll make sure that everything's super good to go. I really want to do that test mostly for peace of mind because, you know, taking brand new parts and test them out on a racetrack isn't always the best idea. You don't want to do that. Well, I mean, sometimes that's the only option, but just want to give me a quick little peace of mind to make sure the brakes will in fact stop the bike before I take it to a racetrack and potentially ruin someone else's day or my own day or whatever might happen. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you click the subscribe button down below, throw a like on the video, and then let me know in the comments if there's anything like specifically on the Brembos or anything else in this video. I know that there were some technical issues, I guess we could say. The Brembos look like they're still gonna work, so didn't actually destroy them, but definitely not in their intended form at the moment. So I'll leave you guys with that, and thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week.